India has a long and complex relationship with animals. In ancient times, the land thrived on a deep respect for all living creatures. Animals were not merely sources of food, but were revered for their contributions to life. Cows, in particular, held a special place, providing milk that nourished families. Hens, with their bounty of eggs, were valued members of the household. Bulls, symbols of strength and resilience, were essential for agriculture and transportation. Hunting did exist, but it was primarily a means of survival, focused on wild animals. Deer, bison, rabbits, and peacocks were among the animals hunted for sustenance. This harmonious coexistence between humans and animals was a defining feature of ancient Indian society. This reverence for life extended beyond domesticated animals to encompass the entire natural world. Rivers were worshipped as goddesses, trees were considered sacred, and mountains were seen as abodes of the divine. This holistic worldview fostered a sense of interconnectedness and responsibility towards all beings. The relationship with animals was not one of dominance, but of mutual respect and understanding. This ancient wisdom would face numerous challenges and transformations in the centuries to come. The arrival of new cultures, religions, and political ideologies would irrevocably alter India's relationship with animals, particularly with the cow, setting the stage for the complex and often contradictory dynamics that exist today. The story of animal protection in India is a tapestry woven from threads of ancient beliefs, cultural shifts, and political maneuvering. Around 4,000 to 3,500 years ago, a wave of migration from the West brought with it a new set of cultural and religious practices. These migrants, the authors of the Vedas, introduced a significant shift in the Indian subcontinent's dietary landscape. Unlike the existing inhabitants who primarily consumed meat from hunted wild animals, these newcomers incorporated the slaughter of domesticated animals, particularly cows and horses, into their rituals and diets. This marked a turning point in the relationship between humans and animals in India. The arrival of Vedic practices challenged the existing order, creating a cultural clash that would have lasting repercussions. The cow, once revered solely for its life-sustaining milk, was now also seen as a source of meat. This newfound dietary practice created friction and debate, setting the stage for centuries of evolving perspectives on animal consumption. The Vedic period witnessed the rise of elaborate rituals and sacrifices, some of which involved the slaughter of animals. These practices, enshrined in religious texts, began to reshape societal norms. The consumption of beef, although not as widespread as in later centuries, began to gain a foothold, particularly among the newly arrived communities. This shift in dietary practices was not universally accepted. The indigenous population, deeply rooted in their reverence for animals, viewed these new practices with suspicion and resistance. The Vedic period, therefore, marked the beginning of a long and complex debate about animal rights and the ethics of slaughter, a debate that continues to resonate in modern India. The rise of Buddhism in India, particularly during the reign of Emperor Ashoka of the Mauryan dynasty, brought about a significant shift in the cultural and spiritual landscape. Ashoka, a powerful emperor known for his conversion to Buddhism after witnessing the horrors of war, championed the principle of ahimsa, or non-violence, as a central tenet of his rule. This philosophical shift had a profound impact on the treatment of animals. Ashoka's reign saw the closure of large-scale slaughterhouses, a testament to his commitment to animal welfare. His edicts, inscribed on pillars throughout his kingdom, promoted vegetarianism and condemned the killing of animals. This period marked a significant victory for animal rights advocates as the state actively discouraged the consumption of meat. However, the emperor's decrees weren't absolute. Ashoka, recognizing the deeply entrenched nature of religious practices, made an exception for the Brahmins, who were allowed to continue slaughtering animals for their rituals. This concession, though seemingly minor, would have long-lasting consequences. It allowed the practice of animal sacrifice to continue within a specific religious context, ensuring its survival even as the broader societal tide turned against animal slaughter. The Buddhist era, despite its emphasis on non-violence, inadvertently set the stage for the consolidation of Brahminical power and the eventual resurgence of meat consumption in India. By granting the Brahmins the exclusive right to slaughter animals for religious purposes, Ashoka inadvertently provided them with a powerful tool to assert their social and religious dominance. This concession, made in the spirit of religious tolerance, would have unforeseen consequences for the future of animal protection in India. The decline of the Mauryan Empire and the subsequent wave of invasions from Central Asia and the Middle East brought about another significant shift in India's dietary landscape. These new arrivals, unlike the earlier Vedic migrants, introduced a broader range of animals into their culinary practices. Chickens, goats, and other domesticated animals joined cows and horses on the menu, further diversifying the Indian diet. The influx of these cultures, combined with the waning influence of Buddhism, led to a resurgence in meat consumption across the subcontinent. This period saw a gradual erosion of the strict vegetarianism that had gained prominence during Ashoka's reign. The cultural exchange that accompanied these invasions was not one-sided. The newcomers, while introducing their own dietary habits, also absorbed elements of Indian cuisine. This fusion of culinary traditions resulted in a more diverse and meat-inclusive diet across various social groups. However, amidst these changing dietary norms, one community stood apart: the Brahmins. Having long positioned themselves as the upholders of Vedic traditions, they clung steadfastly to their vegetarian practices. This adherence to vegetarianism, initially a strategic move to counter the rising influence of Buddhism, became a defining characteristic of Brahmin identity. The Brahmins, by abstaining from meat, particularly beef, sought to distance themselves from the dietary habits of the new arrivals. This culinary distinction served a dual purpose. It reinforced their sense of cultural superiority and solidified their position as religious leaders. The return of meat consumption to the Indian subcontinent, while significant, did not erase the cultural and religious significance of vegetarianism. Instead, it pushed the Brahmins to further entrench themselves as the guardians of this dietary practice, setting the stage for the development of modern Hinduism and its complex relationship with animal consumption. In the heart of ancient traditions, the sacred cow has always held a revered position. As societies evolved, the symbolism of the cow only grew stronger. It became a cornerstone of cultural identity, a living representation of prosperity and sanctity. This profound respect, deeply rooted in history, continues to influence contemporary practices and beliefs. Today, the sacred cow stands as a testament to the enduring power of tradition and the unbroken link between past and present. Throughout history, laws have often been used as tools for power and control. Those in authority have crafted legislation to maintain their dominance, sometimes at the expense of the vulnerable. By understanding this dynamic, we can better grasp the motivations behind certain legal frameworks and policies. The legal landscape surrounding animal protection is, well, incredibly intricate. Various laws intersect at local, national, and international levels, creating a complex web that can be challenging to navigate. Each layer of legislation reflects different priorities and cultural attitudes toward animals, making it essential to examine these laws from multiple perspectives. Unfortunately, many laws tend to favor corporate giants over the welfare of animals. These corporations wield significant influence, often lobbying for regulations that benefit their interests. As a result, The protection of animals can sometimes take a backseat to economic gains, posing a significant challenge for activists and policymakers alike. As we move forward, navigating the future of animal protection requires a balanced approach. It involves advocating for stronger laws, raising public awareness, and holding corporations accountable. By working together, we can create a more just and compassionate world for all living beings.